clear to play. MiniWarGaming's Beat the Cooler Bat Rap!
Hey there, MiniWarGamers. Here we are for another game. This time, Warmachine.
Or also known as Let's Hide the Caster.
Yes, let's hide our caster. I'm not going to hide my triple casters.
Speaking of the prior events, but...
Fair enough, fair enough. And we're doing Incursion, because it's Incursion. 50 points. This is my 50 points. It's an awesome list, I assure you. Deathjack, Nightmare, Witch Coven, Raiders with the UA, Ghosts, Witches with the UA, Banes with the UA, and that's it. What do we got over here?
Alright, so...
Nothing? That's what I thought.
Starting with big Stormwall, who's gonna kill some little jacks. And then another little jack, a hunter.
I wanted to see you get him to balance on that round edge.
I was hoping. Then main man, Mr. Marcus Siege, with a full unit of Horgenhold Forge Guard. And then gun mages with their UA.
Yay.
10-man full unit of Sword Knights, no UA. Then we have Reinhold, the Gobber, Journeyman Warcaster, Squire, and Rupert Pervolo.
Ta-da!
That's my favorite.
There we go. Let's see who's going first. Quick, roll the dice. 4. 1. So here we are deployed. Cryx. Guys in the woods. Chains. Nightmare. That one. Caster. Blood. Ghost.
Well, you got
And my
Cygnar. Alright, Cygnar's got first turn.
And Cygnar starts off the game with his hunter moving forward, trying to get into a line of sight on my Deathjack, which of course he can see him. Shoots him, boosts the hit, easily hits him, and his gun is armor pierce, so I'm half my armor rounding up, which puts me down to armor 10. It's dice -4, and of course he's going to boost that as well, and does 7 points of damage to my 6. So 4 to the 6, and then another 3 to the first column. His gun mages then move up. They just kind of run up, getting ready to get into a better position behind that wall there, or maybe even jumping on the hill. Either way. So they just advance and prepare, because they know that I'm going to be rushing across the board to engage, seeing as I have next to no shooting and he has lots. The Stormwall moves forward, and it does all of its crowd control abilities, dropping down its AoE covering fire, to protect his little jack from me countercharging him, or not necessarily countercharging, but coming after him. And then he goes and drops a lightning pod in front of it as well, just for a little bit more of something to get in the way. His swordsmen all advance up, and they stay base to base as well, just trying to keep in formation as they move up, because they're basically his tar pit unit. They're his unit that he can get in there and just get in the way. They're gonna have high armor, they get buffs, there's lots of them, they're not that expensive from what I understand. So he wants to get into position. Behind them, he's got the little dwarf hammer guys walking up, and they're pretty nasty. They're all weapon masters, and they all have reach, and they can really smash you around if they can get in there, because they are rather slow, but if not for the speed problems, then they would be quite unstoppable, I would think. And so he just moves up those little hammers. And then, of course, he moves up Rupert to give them tough. And then he moves up... he's just debating now about whether or not he has... I have a way to get around his tough. So he moves up Arcane Shield, moves up Siege. And Siege does... nothing. He just sits there, camps his focus. His Squire then moves up, getting in a little bit behind Siege there. Ta-da! And Rupert moves up. But now we're moving on to the Cryx, the exciting team. I hand out one piece of focus to my Nightmare, and then the Witches run up behind the wall, taking cover, getting ready to advance forward and just start smashing away. Not really. They're just moving up. They're not that strong. They do have feedback though, so if they can start hitting the Hunter or his Colossal, then if they do a point of damage with their Lacerators, they'll actually do damage to his Caster as well, having feedback. The Banes move forward, getting in better position so they can start attacking and spreading out a little bit, because they don't want to get shot up by blasts if he has any, which I'm sure he does. Just can't think of any, or at least at the time I couldn't think of any. So all my Banes move up, spread out. They do have stealth, so he has to be within 5 inches unless he has, say, gun mages. but they also have Tough, and they also have Dead Rise or whatever it is. And then on the other end, my Revenant crew, they take off running across the board there. So they're running like 14 inches as they fly up onto the hilltop and all over the place. But they're incorporeal, so they don't really care what's going on. My Blood Witches, they run up, and they also use their mini feet, so they're incorporeal as well. Because I just want to deny him the ability to counterattack me, essentially. I just want to be able to move up and not be attacked, and then get to attack him. And that's pretty much how I do that. So, Blood Witches, they run up, flying across the board, getting ready to get in position to attack his units, because they are rather nasty. They have 2 attacks each, and they have gang, so they end up just attack, 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 attack. You roll enough dice, and eventually everything goes away. I move the first witch up. She casts Infernal Machine onto Deathjack for 1, because she's still triangulating with the others, so her spells cost 1 less. So there we go. And now Deathjack runs, because those are incorporeal, he can just pass right through them, and hides out behind the big pillar there. The next witch moves up, once again also staying within triangulation, and she takes Infernal Machine and puts it on Nightmare to make him faster. He then spends 1 to run, and so he's going to get to move way up there. Also, his prey is the gun mages, though it hasn't actually come up yet. So, if it comes up. So he can run like crazy far. He's speed 6, 7, 8, so he's running 16 inches. I had thought about running him straight forward, just like dive bombing him, but I changed my mind. I only went up 8 inches, and then I went about 5 inches to the side, and then 3 more up to there. Totally flank him. Aragorn moves up, sits on the hill, and then of course my last witch moves up, once again staying in the triangulation, and she casts Veil of Mists. And I was a little bit up in the air about where I wanted to put this, but I then decided pretty easily that it should protect Deathjack, so I put it right next to him so they block line of sight and he can't charge into me. And now we're going to see which objective disappears. The one on the left. Poof. Cryx turn 2 begins with him handing out focus to his jacks and moving up his mage hunters, getting up mage hunters. His arcane gun mages, getting a few of them behind the wall, the other one's a little bit ahead of the wall, just because he wants to take pot shots at my Nightmare, which he does get his crit and knocks me back 2 inches, bounces into the Bane, knocks him down, and he does 2 points of damage to my 3. Bam. Take a next shot, misses because he was actually at a range, and that's all he could do. So he takes snipe and misses my Blood Witch. Next up, he's got his little jack that walks forward, a hunter, trying to get himself in a good position. So he couldn't figure out quite what he was doing there. I know he's kind of taunting him a little bit. But anyway, he moves up his hunter, takes a pot shot at my witch, and misses. So that's that. And then his Stormwall advances, placing down some more AoEs. Now he places these on my model, so it's not in front of them. So if they move through it, or rather if they don't move through it, if they just sit there, they'll take the hit, and if other ones enter it, we'll take a hit. He then takes a pot shot at Nightmare, hits, boosts the damage, dice -3, he does like 10 points of damage. 12 points of damage, my mistake. Now he's debating here, he moves his infantry around because he originally was going to run around the far way, but he'd rather put more guys between Deathjack and the Stormwall, because Deathjack can wreck a Stormwall without much trouble. So he piles up all of his infantry on the far side of the AoE, the cloud rather, and that obstruction. He moves up his caster, puts arcane, or not caster, he moves up the solo, puts arcane shield on the swordsman to give them really high armor. They end up armor like 19 or 20 or something like that. But not mattering yet, as he moves up his forge guard, and they take up positions behind his other unit, because that way if I charge in with Deathjack against the spear or the swordsman, he can move those guys up and swing over the swordsman and hit Deathjack. So that's kind of a bummer. So Reinhold does reload and then hangs out. Now he's debating about what to do with his caster. He's just measuring his control for a little bit before I was trying to talk him into use his feet, and so was Jay, but we couldn't get him to do it. So he moves up, camps his focus, just hangs out, and that's about it. So Cryx's turn begins. I spend 1. I was going to upkeep the shield, but I actually upkept Infernal Machine as opposed to upkeeping the shield, so After that, I put focus on to Nightmare to get him to stand back up again. Or rather, he had said here that you actually do that afterwards. So I put focus on him so that he will be able to stand up. And that'll be that. So from there, I've got my 3 focus on my Nightmare. And then Aragorn drifts forward, getting a little bit closer. And I do my feet. So all models, all enemy living models within my control here, it might be just all enemy models, they're -2 to Mat and Rat, and they only have a line of sight of 5 inches. So now my Banes are throwing themselves in there, charging. I only was able to get 1 on the Hunter, and it does have parry, so if I don't kill it or at least mess it up in that 1 attack, then it's going to just scurry away. Then I charge another Bane at his lightning pod, and the rest of the Banes just kind of run and get into position, keeping the banner at the back as well as the UA at the back, because that way if they do pass their tough, they just stand up automatically. So I was going to hide that guy, but I hide the UA behind the obstruction, just because I don't want to get him sniped by the Colossal. Not that I think he can do it, but anyway. I hit the Hunter, dice -2, Weapon Master for tons of damage to his 6. So 1, 2, 3... 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Bam. There goes his gun. No more armor pierce shot. So I spend the 1 to stand him up, and I don't know why I took Infernal Machine off, because I did upkeep it, but he charges one of the Mage Hunters there, and here's where we remember that, because I start moving him up, and then I remember that he's got Infernal Machine, so he has 2 extra inches of movement. So instead of standing right there, I adjusted a little bit so that he actually stands on the far side, because he's got 2 more inches to get in there. And he has reach, if no one knows that about Nightmare, which is entirely possible. So anyway, takes a swing at that Mage Hunter, and I hit him and kill him. Unfortunately, it didn't get caught on camera there. And his second initial, he swings at the other Mage Hunter, the other attack guy. He hits him and dies, and then he buys 1 attack against the guy over the wall, which misses. So that guy gets to live, but they're engaged now, which is good. I move my witch up. She gets in base with Aragorn to give them the stealth benefit that they didn't have last turn. That's why he had that option to shoot me. And then I move this one over. Now I mess up a little bit here because I wanted to cast Infernal Machine on Nightmare, but I messed up about how the range of spells are function. It's line of sight from the witch, but it's range from Aragorn. So I couldn't do it. So instead I recast my my cloud effect, which is not sitting right there, but I recast it and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with it. I was going to put it in front of a Stormwall, and I ended up putting it underneath that obstruction because it allows me to move through obstructions, so it just moved over right now. We put it over, or under it rather, in just a moment. Deathjack walks up into all of those infantry there, and he's just going to start killing. He doesn't have a Thresher, but he has tons of attacks, and he's rather high mat, and he's powerful, and here we go. First guy... dead. Soul for me, and I use that soul to heal Deathjack for 6. So he had taken 7 points of damage, and now he's only got 1 on his 1 arm. Now he's going to buy another, or he does his second initial attack rather, which hits and kills. And then he gets another soul. His next attack goes for the next guy, which hits. And I need a 4 to kill him, which kills him. So the next guy goes down. That's another soul for Deathjack. And he gets 1 more attack against the other guy, because the other ones are unfortunately not in his range. He misses. Blink. So I buy an attack. I actually had to buy 2 attacks, because the first one I would have had to buy. Then I buy a second one, which misses, so I buy my last attack. And he's dead. So that's it. So POW 18 crushes that infantryman, and another soul for Deathjack. Next up, see there's the AoE underneath that obstruction, so that I can just mosey on through it. So these 2 girls are already inside of the AoE from Stormwall, so they don't get hit by it. It would only be if they had entered it, which they already were, or if they end in it, which they did not. So they get out of there, getting in close combat, and basically at this point we had a little bit of a debate about how that covering fire works, but as I just said, that's how it is. The rest of the witches continue moving up, and they're charging all over the place, running, or able to move through the cloud, or the obstruction there. They can just move right in. Just turning Deathjack. He can see 360, so it doesn't really matter where he stands, but move that witch in, and then yet another witch charges in, or moves in, and hangs out behind, or beside that guy there. The rest of them can't really make it though. So I move up the Blood Hag. She's hanging out right behind that obstruction. Unfortunately, you can't really see her, but she's there so that they don't get tough. They already weren't getting tough, but at least a little bit closer, just to give me that little bit more of an edge. So they move up and basically deny him getting his heroic call from Rupert. The rest of them, they all move up and hang out on the outside of the AoEs / prepare to attack after the first wave, which is unfortunately only the 4 girls here. First one attacks. They have gang, so she's got +2, so she's at like 8, and she hits. And now it'll be POW 12, so I need a 7 to kill. Here we go. Oh no, 8 to kill. Don't matter, he explodes. And that's that for him. Now I have the ability to attack a nearby guy with the strength of the model that I killed. Unfortunately, his guys aren't even strong enough to kill other members of their own unit. So it's kind of pointless once we've got the armor sorted out, because this is our debate about whether or not I can do it, but it doesn't matter. So I move on to my Blood Witch. She attacks and hits the next guy there and does not kill him. Next one attacking the next guy and hits. Dice -6. He's dead, so that one goes down. Next attack on the next one, hits. Dice -6, dead. Boom. And then her second attack on that guy, misses. And then her second attack, because it was the first girl attacking twice, and she does not kill him, and they pass their panic check. So from there I move on to my Revenant crew, who just start running up, and now I was getting ready because I want to flank charge these hammer guys, but then it occurred to me that they don't have magic weapons. So instead, I run them up. Now, they don't block line of sight, and they don't even block the charge lane. But those little dudes are very slow, so I end up making a wall of guys that are a little bit more than 2 inches away from Deathjack, because he can't move through me if he can't place the model on the far side of me. Not to mention that he only has the 2-inch reach. So basically, I just pile up a few guys in front of Deathjack who effectively can't be killed by what he has over there, or at least not enough of them will be able to be. That it blocks his stone guard, hearth guard, I don't know what they're called, hammer guys, from being able to kill me. On the other end, my raiders move up and get into a better position, namely on top of the objective, so that I can start scoring points. So, boop, boop, bloop. There we go. Everyone's getting in position, having one of them in base to base, and bam, that's a point for Cryx.